You're 200,000 years ago, standing in front of your tribe, and you just tripped over a rock in front of everyone. There's no phone to pretend you're checking. There's no, I meant to do that recovery joke. There's just you, flat on the ground, and 30 pairs of eyes. And somewhere deep in your chest, something happens that has nothing to do with the pain in your knee. Your face goes hot. Your stomach drops. You want, more than almost anything you've ever wanted, to disappear. That feeling has a name, and it's one of the strangest emotions a human being can have because unlike fear or hunger or pain, embarrassment serves no obvious survival purpose. It doesn't warn you about a predator. It doesn't tell you where food is. It just makes you want to die a little, socially, for a few excruciating seconds. So why does it exist? Why did evolution build an entire biological alarm system around the horror of being seen doing something slightly wrong? Here's the obvious answer people assume. Embarrassment is just a byproduct of caring what people think, a kind of emotional glitch, leftover baggage from being a self-aware species. Nice theory, almost completely wrong. Let's start with what's actually happening in your body when you get embarrassed, because it's more extreme than most people realize. Blood vessels near the surface of your face dilate rapidly, which is why you blush. Visible, involuntary, and completely impossible to fake or suppress on command. Your heart rate spikes. Cortisol floods your system. In some studies, people report physical sensations almost identical to being under direct threat, except the threat isn't a lion. The threat is a social judgment. Your body cannot fully tell the difference between "I might get eaten" and "everyone just watched me fall down." And that distinction matters enormously because it tells you embarrassment is running on ancient hardware built for a different, much more dangerous world. Here's the part almost nobody knows. Charles Darwin himself was obsessed with blushing. He called it the most peculiar and the most human of all expressions, and spent years trying to figure out why, of all animals on Earth, only humans do it. He tested it across cultures, deaf people, blind people, people in isolated societies with no exposure to Western social norms, and found blushing everywhere. Universal, involuntary, unfakeable. Which told him something important. This wasn't learned. This was built in. So what was it built for? This is where evolutionary psychologists arrive at something genuinely counterintuitive. Embarrassment isn't a malfunction. It's a signal, and it's aimed specifically at other people, not at you. Think about what a blush actually does. It's visible, it's involuntary, and critically, it cannot be faked convincingly. Try to blush on command right now, you can't do it. That's not a flaw in the system. That's the entire point. In a small hunter-gatherer band of 30 to 150 people, where you would live your entire life alongside the same individuals, generation after generation, your reputation was everything. There was no starting over in the next town. There was no anonymous internet where you could reinvent yourself. If you violated a social norm, stole food, broke a promise, insulted someone powerful, the group needed a way to know that you knew you'd messed up and needed proof that wasn't just words, because words are cheap and liars use them fluently. A blush is expensive, honest signaling. You cannot lie with your face turning red. And that's exactly why it evolved that way. When you visibly, involuntarily show distress after a social violation, you're broadcasting something the rest of the group can trust. I recognize I broke the rule. I feel bad about it. You don't need to punish me further, and you can trust me not to do it again. Researchers studying this call it the appeasement function of embarrassment. It's a peace offering. Your body makes automatically, faster than your conscious mind can even catch up. And here's the evidence that makes this theory land. People who blush after making a mistake are consistently rated by observers as more trustworthy and more likable than people who show no visible reaction at all, even when the mistake itself is identical. In multiple studies, participants shown video of someone knocking over a display of cans in a store rated the person who blushed as significantly more sympathetic than the person who stayed composed. Your blush isn't embarrassing you for no reason. It's actively repairing your social standing in real time, without you doing anything except feeling terrible. Now, here's where it gets genuinely wild. Embarrassment isn't just about mistakes. There's a second, entirely different category. Embarrassment from being complimented, praised, or singled out in a positive way. Ever notice how getting handed an award in front of people can feel almost as uncomfortable as tripping in front of them? Same blush, same urge to disappear. Completely different situation. Why? The answer connects back to something ancient and slightly uncomfortable about human social structure. Excessive attention, positive or negative, disrupts group harmony. In small, tightly interdependent bands, standing out too much, even for good reasons, could trigger resentment, jealousy, or a perceived threat to the group's flat social balance. Anthropologists studying modern hunter-gatherer societies have documented a phenomenon researchers call insulting the meat. When a successful hunter brings back a large kill, other members of the tribe will deliberately mock it, calling it scrawny or worthless, specifically to prevent the hunter from becoming arrogant or feeling superior. The hunter is expected to downplay his own success, sometimes aggressively. Standing out, even through achievement, was socially dangerous. So the same blush and shrink response that handles your mistakes also handles your victories, because both situations put you at risk of the same thing, being seen as different from the group in a way that threatens the group's cohesion. This is also why embarrassment is almost always worse when witnesses are present than when you're alone. You can trip over nothing in an empty room and feel nothing but mild annoyance at yourself. Trip in front of 5 people, and your whole body reacts like something genuinely dangerous just happened. The mistake is identical. The social exposure is what changes everything, which tells you embarrassment was never really about the action. It's entirely about being observed. There's a broader theory here worth sitting with. Some researchers argue embarrassment is one of several self-conscious emotions, a category that includes shame, guilt, and pride, all of which require something no other animal appears to have in the same way. A theory of mind sophisticated enough to model how you appear inside someone else's head. To feel embarrassed, you have to simulate another person's judgment of you in real time and care about the result. That is a genuinely staggering cognitive achievement, and it likely emerged alongside the same brain expansion that gave us language, complex tool use, and long-term planning. Embarrassment isn't a primitive glitch sitting underneath our intelligence. It might actually be one of the clearest fingerprints of it. Here's the uncomfortable part, though, and it's worth naming directly. This ancient appeasement system, built for bands of 150 people who would see your face grow red and immediately recalibrate their judgment of you, is now running inside a species that broadcasts itself to audiences of millions through screens. Public embarrassment used to mean 30 people around a fire watching you trip. Now it can mean a video watched by strangers on 5 continents who will never see your blush, never receive your honest, involuntary signal of remorse, and will judge you anyway, permanently, based on a 10-second clip stripped of everything your body was actually trying to communicate. We built a global amplifier and plugged it directly into a system engineered for a campfire. It is, unsurprisingly, not going well for a lot of people. So why do we get embarrassed? Not because something is wrong with us. Because something extremely specific went right, tens of thousands of years ago, in small groups of people who needed an honest, unfakeable, biologically enforced way to say, "I know, I'm sorry, trust me again," without wasting a single word. It's not a weakness. It's one of the oldest peace treaties your body knows how to make. Next time your face goes hot in front of other people, remember, you're not malfunctioning. You're running one of the most sophisticated social technologies your species ever built, exactly as designed, in a world it was never built for.